Hey everyone, this is Natalie Dolan and this is my video for the final presentation for POS 394. The State of the Union address that I chose was from President Trump, and I chose the 2019 State of the Union address because it is the most recent one.
In just over 2 years since the election, we have launched an unprecedented economic boom, a boom that has rarely been seen before. There's been nothing like it. We have created 5.3 million new jobs, and importantly added 600,000 new manufacturing jobs.
So fact-checking that, I went to PolitiFact and Washington Post, and they say it's correct from the time he was elected, but from the time he actually took office, it's only been 4.9 million jobs.
Wages are rising at the fastest pace in decades and growing for blue-collar workers. Nearly 5 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps.
Washington Post and PolitiFact also agree that this is true.
The U.S. economy is growing almost twice as fast today as when I took office, and we are considered far and away the hottest economy anywhere in the world.
Washington Post said this is correct, and then I found a statement from New York Times saying that this is wrong because they were comparing other countries like Poland and Latvia and China. Didn't say that that was right, but they weren't really giving other examples of how these countries are higher. They just said that they were, so whether or not that is true, we don't really know. Washington Post did say it was true, and he said that the GDP was almost up to 4%.
African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment have all reached their lowest levels ever recorded. Unemployment for Americans with disabilities has also reached an all-time low. More people are working now than at any time in the history of our country. 157 million people at work.
With this statement, Washington Post were stating that it is correct, but they say that it's kind of nothing to do with Trump, that this has always kind of been a thing that's happening. Because of this increase, also employee lawsuits have been at an all-time high.
Eliminated the very unpopular Obamacare individual mandate penalty to give critically ill patients access to life-saving cures. We passed, very importantly, right to try. All Americans can be proud that we have more women in the workforce than ever before.
Okay, so this is true, but PolitiFact and Washington Post did state that it is true, but it might not be because of the fact that more women wanting to work or more women are getting hired, but because since the population always is increasing, there's going to be always more women working. He started the process of eliminating Obamacare back when he first took office in 2017.
As we speak, large organized caravans are on the march to the United States. I have ordered another 3,750 troops to our southern border to prepare for this tremendous onslaught.
New York Times commented, and they said that this was very over-exaggerated. They meant that a lot of the caravans that are on their way to the border are not actually going to cross, which they didn't really have a statement to back that up. That statement, they also confirmed that yes, it is true that they're on their way to the border. And Huffington Post also steps in and confirms that the plans that he had back then by sending the troops over was correct.
In the last 2 years, our brave ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of nearly 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 killings or murders.
So PolitiFact responds to this and says that yes, this is true. The Post also comments that yes, this is true, but they are not sure about the exact number.
The lawless state of our southern border is a threat to the safety, security, and financial well-being of all America. We have a moral duty to create an immigration system that protects the lives and jobs of our citizens. Tens of thousands of innocent Americans are killed by lethal drugs that cross our border and flood into our cities, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl.
Washington Post comments that this is true, but they don't believe that the border in Mexico has a crisis necessarily. They don't see it as that big of a deal. Proving them wrong, Latin Post came in and they said that the immigration problem from Mexico is at an all-time high.
A revolution in American energy The United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas anywhere in the world.
Alright, so Washington Post actually states that this is false. He states that this has been an ongoing thing since 2009. But then again, PolitiFact says that this is true, but it's been since 2012. Personally, I have seen this since 2015. Being from a different country where I have different currency and I'm trying to transfer my currency over, is that the US dollar is very, very strong. That's not a lot of people talk about in the US maybe, but I know this for a fact that the oil is very good in America currently, and it has been ever since 2015. It's been amazing. That was when Obama was still president, so it hasn't been, it didn't start when Trump was president.
Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth.
Washington Post and PolitiFact stated that this statement was true. So as we can see in the word cloud, the first or biggest word in the middle is the USA. The reason I put this in the middle and with a bigger font is because President Trump really likes to speak of the USA in a great tone. The things he do is for the sake of the country. The United States is his #1 priority, and the laws that he enforces and the policies are all to better the nation and better the society. He wants people in America to be proud to be Americans and know the history, know the wars that were fought for this country. Alright, so the tone of this speech is definitely mixed. When he's speaking and he's at the end of a sentence, we hear applause and cheering and a standing ovation from one side of the room, which is obviously the Republican side, and then the other side of the room, it's the Democratic side, and they're all very silent. When it came to the fallacies, I could only find one. That fallacy was the observational selection. So, meaning this is that Trump is speaking a lot about the positives in this country and not really speaking a lot about the negatives. He mentioned sometimes about how unfair the Democrats in the Senate was to this country, but never really about the negative things that he might have caused. If I could say anything that could be turned into a fallacy, I think I couldn't select a statement for this, but the speech itself I think would be a short-term versus long-term fallacy. The fact that he is a president, he's only going to be a president for 4 to 8 years. Any president, you know, whenever they put out policies, if a new president comes up, then they might completely change the country. And then the next fallacy is the slippery slope, and the reason why is because of his statement about abortion. There's been an ongoing debate whether or not abortion should be legal, and a lot of feminists are scared that they might control what's going to happen after labor and birth. In all truthfulness, I would rate President Trump's speech a 4. We all know that President Trump is pretty truthful when it comes to speaking. He's not scared of showing or expressing his feelings and his thoughts. That has given him a lot of backlash, but also a lot of recognition. People think he's really cool for actually speaking up about things, versus other people think it is unprofessional. For the post-review articles, I chose Fox News and CNN. So what I noticed in both articles was that the headlines were really different. The headline from Fox News goes, Trump's State of the Union address wasn't about politics, it was about doing what's right for the country. So they decided to do a more emotional approach, wanted the reader to be a little bit more prideful of America and thankful of what we have, versus the Democrat, the CNN headline was 5 key takeaways from Donald Trump's State of the Union speech. So they wanted to do it a little bit more factual. So a lot of the things that they said were so-called BS. It was a lot of personal opinion, not a lot of facts. So when it came to formality, as I mentioned earlier, CNN did come up with a little bit more personal opinion, a little bit more BS. Therefore, they weren't as formal as the Fox News article. They were a little bit more factual, which I didn't expect because of their headline, but they were. So that was another difference. So Fox News article used more of a pathos appeal. If we look at ethos, pathos, and logos, because of the emotional standpoint. CNN, they used more of a logos appeal, at least they try to make it a little bit logical. I think where they failed was because of the whole personal opinion type of deal they were trying to play off. I think I kind of got thrown off by that. I don't really care about the reporter's personal opinion. I care about the facts, and if they're going to use logos and give logic, I want factual evidence. The tone in the Fox News article was a little bit more positive. Obviously, we do have a Republican president, therefore they're going to pride it more as a positive outlook, versus the CNN article gave more of a neutral to negative tone.